I want to show you today one of my favorite ways to improve ankle range of motion, something that's very often neglected by a lot of people in their training programs for athletic performance and optimal health. One of the reasons people neglect that so much, I think people tend to overlook the importance of it because it's such a small joint, right? It's not as big as the hips or the shoulders, for example, so people might not see the importance of putting work into establishing proper function and range of motion at that joint. So that's one of the reasons why it's so important. Another reason is if you think about any type of athletic endeavor or performance, everything starts from the ground up essentially. So if you want to be able to transfer forces up to your hips, up to your core, to your arms. If you're a baseball player, you're swinging a bat, it's important for those ankles to be able to move freely, to be able to transfer that power into your hips, to your core, to your upper body. If you're a basketball player, when you're jumping, be able to maximize that ankle flexion before jumping to allow as much potential coming from the ankles and to transfer into your jumps. Obviously, there's other factors that are very important in those examples that I just mentioned, but keep in mind that that's something that's very important that people tend to overlook a lot. All right, so on to that little trick that I like to use for ankle mobility that works tremendously well and has worked a lot for my clients and athletes over the last few years, and it's a great trick. So I want to give credit where credit's due. It's a concept I borrowed from gymnastic bodies. So with that said, let's go right into it. Okay, so the concept is to pair an exercise that will bring blood flow to the area. The ankles are usually an area where there's not a ton of blood flow going on in there. So maximizing blood flow by performing an exercise for multiple reps will help bring some blood flow and then maximize the mobility gains you will get after that. Okay, so we start with some sort of calf raises variation. So we go with the feet together and we're just trying to get up on our toes and we perform a bunch of repetitions here. We're looking for at least 30 reps, possibly up to 50 to really start feeling the burn, bring as much blood flow in there, and then we're going to pair that with a ankle mobility. So one that I like to use is the heel sit or a seiza. There's different words for it. You're essentially just sitting back on your heels. It's very important when you perform this one to try and keep your heels together as closely as you can to maximize the stretch in the front of the ankles, in the front of the shins here, okay? And then we're gonna hold our stretches for long periods of time. So we're talking up to like 90 seconds to 2 minutes, because the longer you hold the stretch, the more you're gonna see results from that. Not that it's wrong to do shorter stretches, but if you really want to maximize your mobility, you want to do those longer time stretches every once in a while, okay? So we would potentially hold this for 90 seconds or 2 minutes, and then we would come back up and perform another set of calf raises. Now there's different variations here. One that we can do is go on with the toes turned out. We're again bringing blood flow into that area, but having a different foot position is going to change the exact location where that blood's going to be directed, okay? So again, 30 to 50 reps. It's going to be different for everybody. Everybody's going to have different endurance and different tolerance to how many reps they can do. You can start on the low side and build yourself up, and then we're going to pair that up with another type of heel sit, where this one we have our toes curled under. Try to keep the feet, the ankles, the heels as close together as you can, and sitting back in that position. In the previous stretch, we were stretching the front of the ankle, the top of the foot, the top of the shin. This one we're stretching the posterior aspect, so the Achilles tendon, the plantar fascia, the big toe, which is another very overlooked part of ankle mobility. It's the whole foot complex and the potential for the big toe to extend a lot. When I put a lot of my athletes and clients in this position, it's for a lot of them, it's very painful. They feel a huge stretch under the foot, under the big toe, and it's very, very challenging for them. So if it's something that you're having a hard time with, you're struggling, you can always lift off some weight by pushing it to the ground and kind of building tolerance here. And as you get better with it, as you're able to tolerate the position better, you can put your full body weight on it. And then we pair that a third time with another calf ankle exercise. So we could do here some toes in calf raises. We could also do some standing dorsiflexion where we would lift the toes up. Either one is good. And then we would pair that with this exercise that I call the gorilla ankle stretch. It's also called the combat stretch by some people. So you start in the same position here. You pop one leg up. You try to keep your hips low, the weight of your chest pushing forward onto your knee. So you're leaning all the weight of your chest onto your knee, and that's going to basically put a big stretch down low in your Achilles tendon right here. And then keeping your knee in line with the center of your foot, you're just going to try and drive that forward as far as you can. Ideally, you'll keep the foot down completely, the heel down, until you get that stretch. Sometimes it might be helpful to just lift off the heel to really push that forward a little bit more to really feel it. But as long as you feel that in the Achilles, then we're going to hold that for anywhere from 90 seconds to 2 minutes. And obviously, we would do the same thing on the other side as well, right? And then when we've done that little combo here of calf raises and ankle stretches, I like to finish with a calf stretch. Up on the block, you can do that against the wall. You can do that off a step. You're just pushing, putting the ball of your foot on the block or the step or whatever you're using and moving forward as much as you can. There's different ways to perform this one. You can just stand upright, making sure your knee's completely straight. If you're feeling a big stretch, huge stretch already, you don't need to do anything else. Just hold that position. You can do it by bending forward and increasing the stretch on the whole posterior chain right here. Or if you're doing it on a step, you're holding on to something, it would be easy to just like let your body weight drop down lower. So here it is, guys. That's super effective way to improve ankle mobility. Give it a shot. Let me know what you think. It's worked extremely well for my clients and athletes. And if you like the video, please share it. Give me some feedback, and I'll see you later.